So, weeks into this conflict, you might think the question is simple. Who's winning the war with Iran? But as it turns out, the answer is anything but. We're going to look past the headlines to figure out what winning even means in a war like this.
Just 2 weeks. Think about that. That's all it took for the map of this conflict to look completely different. We're talking American stealth bombers flying over Iran like it's a training exercise. Israel is now in a direct fight with Iran itself, not just its proxies. It's a huge shift. And right here, this is the central puzzle of this war. On the one hand, you've got what looks like total tactical dominance. I mean, Iran's military has been gutted. But on the other hand, the strategic reality? It's a total mess. The regime is still there, global trade is getting squeezed, and nobody seems to have a clear way out.
So that's the question we're really digging into. It's not about adding up battlefield victories. It's about understanding the deeper, strategic game that's being played. And well, the answer is probably not what you think.
To really get a handle on this, we've got to go back to basics and talk about the real rules of war. Because it's not just about who can blow up the most stuff.
And here's the thing you absolutely have to remember. War is a political tool. You don't fight just to break things. You fight to get something you want, to achieve a political goal. You can literally win every single battle, but if you don't achieve that political aim, did you really win?
And that is the absolute key to understanding this conflict. The US-Israel coalition and Iran, they're fighting two completely different wars. The coalition's goal is huge, regime change in Tehran. Iran's goal? It's much simpler, just survive. This asymmetry, it changes the entire game.
All right, let's look at it from the coalition's perspective for a minute. If you're just looking at the military campaign, it's been incredibly successful. I mean, just look at this scorecard. It is staggering. Dozens of top Iranian commanders gone. The Navy and the Air Force have been absolutely crippled. Their military infrastructure is in ruins. And all of this has happened with incredibly low casualties for the American and Israeli forces. In any textbook, that's a decisive victory. And this is the million-dollar question, right? Does all that destruction equal a political win? Let's take a look at what's happened off the battlefield. Here's the twist. All that military might may have actually backfired. Instead of making the regime weaker, it might have just concentrated power in the hands of the hardliners, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The popular uprising everyone was hoping for, it never happened. And maybe, most importantly, US intelligence itself is saying the regime is nowhere near collapsing. That political goal is still way out of reach. Okay, so now let's flip the board. What does this whole thing look like from Tehran? Their strategy isn't about winning, not in the way we think about it. It's about not losing. It's a strategy of pure, simple survival. Look, Iran's not naive. They know they can't win a straight-up fight with the US military. That was never the plan. The real goal is to inflict pain. Economic pain, political pain, to just keep raising the price tag until the coalition decides this war is just too expensive to keep fighting. And if you want proof of how effective that strategy can be, just look at this number, 400 million. By shutting down just one waterway, the Strait of Hormuz, Iran triggered the largest coordinated release of emergency oil reserves in history. That's real global impact, even when your military is getting hammered. They're making the whole world feel the consequences. But, and this is a huge but, there's a trap built right into Iran's strategy. Sure, they can inflict costs, but every drone they launch is one they don't have anymore. The weaker their military gets, the less say they have in how this whole thing ends. And by attacking their Gulf neighbors, they're torching the very relationships they need to survive this kind of long-term pressure. So what happens when one side can't seem to achieve its political goal and the other is slowly running out of moves to survive? You get this, a dangerous, messy, unwinnable deadlock. You can see here how both sides have really painted themselves into a corner. The coalition lost the element of surprise, and now they're watching their political supports start to crack both at home and around the world. Meanwhile, Iran has burned its bridges with its neighbors and is chewing through its limited military hardware. At this point, neither side really has a clear path to victory. And nothing sums up this messy reality better than this quote from Donald Trump.
We've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. That is the perfect definition of a stalemate, of a war without an exit. It's a statement that points to a longer, uglier conflict than anybody was really prepared for.
So here's where we stand. We have two realities existing at the same time. The US-Israel coalition is clearly winning the battles, but Iran, just by holding on, is surviving the war. The only question is, for how long?
Which leaves us with one final and pretty sobering thought. In a war where there's no clear exit and no obvious winner, maybe the right question isn't who's winning. Maybe it's who's really losing. Because in a deadlock like this, the costs just keep piling up for everybody.